Today I'm going to show you how I build my drawers. Howdy, my name is Robert Daly, owner of Daly Woodworks in Bryan, Texas. I build custom furniture and cabinetry serving my area, and we even ship custom pieces nationwide. This dog kennel is going to Colorado. The first thing I want to say is I'm using Undermount drawer slides, and so this will vary if you're using side mounts. I'm using these CSG slides. I started buying them whenever Blooms were like back ordered for a million years from cabinetparts.com. And I really like them. They're a little bit cheaper than Blooms, and they work just as good in my experience. So this tutorial is for these drawer slides. Now, to determine the length or the depth, I'm going to say the length of your drawer, you basically just go off the slide. These are 18-inch slides, so I'm going to build my drawer box 18 inches long. Our width of our opening is 28 and an eighth, and then 5 inches tall. So for Undermount drawer slides, you typically subtract 1 inch for the height and then a ½ inch for the width. That's not always exact. If you're using 5/8 drawer slides, that would be different. But I'm using ½ inch drawer boxes, and so subtracting that ½ inch gives me a 1/4 inch on each side, and it works out almost perfectly every single time. So part of why I'm doing this is I'm actually going to make this into a nice SketchUp drawing on a slide for standard work in our shop, because I'm trying to standardize things, so whenever I potentially have an employee coming in, I can say this is how we build our drawers. So here's our drawing. As I'm using ½ inch plywood for my materials. Keeps math easy. I'm doing a ½ inch deep and then 1/4 inch wide, or whichever way you want to look at this. 1/2 by 1/4 dado. So that means I've got a 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch here, and then that adds up to a ½ inch. I'm doing ½ inch narrower. So this opening right here, my drawer stretcher, needs to be this minus ½ inch. So that gives me 27 1/8. You'll notice the nice thing about this math, by doing it this way with this rabbit, so my opening was 28 1/8. If I cut my drawer stretchers 1 inch smaller and then make everything else with these rabbits, the math's going to work out every time. It's simple, it's clean. So now I can cut my parts for my drawer. I find it most efficient to go ahead and edge band and then run your drawer bottom groove in 8-foot strips. Most drawer boxes, I would say probably 90, maybe 80% of them use less than an 8-foot strip, and it's just so much more efficient time-wise to go ahead and run this all as one go, and especially with the edge banding, because I'm using iron-on. So I went ahead and did that. Now it's time to cut these to size and then do our rabbits. For my dado, I just have a router set up with a ½ inch bit, 1/4 inch up, ½ inch away. Build a whole drawer box with ½ inch material just because I think it's stronger and it cuts down the amount of inventory I have to have in my shop. So here's some advice for your shop: is have as many router tables as you can squeeze in there. I'll pretty much leave this one set up for doing ½ inch by 1/4 inch rabbits. It's just in my table saw. And what I did for the rabbiting bit is actually used a spoil board flattening bit set to the proper RPMs, and it does a really beautiful rabbit for this kind of stuff. So now we have our drawer sides, and we just need to put a rabbit on both ends. Now there's one more thing we have to do to our drawer box before we can assemble it. Note, I haven't done the bottom yet. I actually install the bottom after assembly. I find it's easier, quicker, faster, and it's more than sufficiently strong. So that means I basically rip off the groove on this board. It's a little bit of reprocessing, but because I've done it all in 8-foot rips, it's just a bit more efficient to do it that way. So basically we rip an inch off of this. So this is 4 inches tall, and so this will end up being 3 inches tall. So this is probably my most inefficient part that I really need to work on, but I clamp it up using these strap clamps, mainly because now that it's clamped up and the glue can dry, I can move it out of the way and get onto the other thing. The reason I do this is because I like using dominoes to finish it off, because I think it looks nice. And that way I don't have any metal fasteners in my drawer box except where I attach the bottom on right there. So I need to come up with a better way to do that, but that's how I do this. And now I'm gonna go cut my bottom and we'll slide it in, and then we'll put our dominoes in and all that good stuff. So while my glue was setting up, I went ahead and cut my bottom to size. You just measure your width and then the depth from the inside of the dado to the edge of the board. And then I went ahead and sanded the inside because I can move this around while the glue is finishing setting up. And I went ahead and sanded the inside to 220, making sure I rounded over all my bottom edges. That way all your touch points are nice. And now we're just sliding this in. I typically make this about a 1/16 smaller than the actual measurement. That way it just slides in easy without any friction. So now we're slid in, we're good. Now we got our bottom in. I'm just gonna use 1-inch staples to staple this into place. I do this with my Festool domino. You can just nail it. That's fine. I just like this look. So we want the domino on narrow. We want to bottom out our depth for our 12 millimeter thick plywood or 1/2-inch thick plywood. And we want a 5 millimeter bit, and we're going to plunge it 20 millimeters deep. Now it's important that you do the domino step last. I used to do it before putting the bottom in, but then you have to kind of offset the bottom where it's up a little bit. And we're going to use these small flipper guys here. Where is that? Right there. We're going to use these to index 10 millimeters from end to end. I do have another video on how to use the paddles on the domino, and that's more detailed than this, but now we're pretty much ready to plunge. So that's one, and then I'm gonna switch these over. You do have to switch these each time and go from the bottom. And I did misspeak. This is 20 millimeters to the center of the domino. So that's right there. I'm going to go ahead and flip it and do the same thing. If you're doing a taller drawer, then you will need one or maybe two in the center. And in that case, you'll start with your outsides and then you'll create a jig or a template or something to make sure you're equally spacing your dominoes all the way around. The next step is trimming off our dominoes. I use a piece of cardstock to keep from destroying my work surface, and then I can just pop those off nice and easy, sand it down, and then it's ready for hardware and finishing. Now I've got this all sanded to 220, and you can see how nice and clean it looks. Now we're drilling out the holes for our drawer slides, and I've just made this little jig. It tells you what bit to use, and then I've got a little stopper for my brad point jig. After we drill our holes in the back, we install our latches, and then we just put the drawer in. That is how I build my drawers for custom furniture. Finish wise, I'm going to do a wipe on tung oil varnish, let it dry overnight, and then that'll be good. Or if I have my sprayer set up, I'll spray it. Either way is a good durable finish for a drawer box. So thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll do a video in the future on attaching a drawer face, but I don't want to make this video too long. So thanks for watching.